You know, a lot of people start thinking about getting insurance for their homes closer to storm season. Well, in fact, you need to keep, some type of insurance on your home all year long. And there's some new things going on with insurance that we decided we needed to bring in Ned Doles from Coastal American Insurance to talk about it. How are you?
Great, Jim. How's it going?
It's going real good.
Good.
And I know there's been some changes since the last time we talked here a couple of years ago when people were concerned about getting, flood insurance and wind insurance and having to get it from here and here and here. So tell us some of the things that's happened.
We, in the past 2 years since we've had the flood endorsement out, we've seen a rapid uptick in our business. We have been able to insure about 1,000 houses on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in the past 18 months with the new flood endorsement product. With the reason that is significant is for the first time you're able to combine all these coverages in one policy instead of having to buy separate policies and deal with separate adjusters at claim time and the NFIP and base flood elevations and all that other stuff. It's all rolled up into one policy with Coastal American, and we're seeing where that's made a big impact on a lot of families on the coast in particular.
Well, I'm sure it's a lot less expensive to do it that way as well.
It is, yeah.
Because as you said, you have to get your wind policy from here, if you can get it.
Right.
Your flood policy, and then homeowners, and this and that, the other thing to cover different areas of your home. They can be pretty aggravating having to deal with so many different ones.
That, and then I think the other thing too that makes this a very unique proposition is that with our policies you only have one deductible. There's only a single deductible. So if we have another Katrina-like event, or in the case of Hurricane Isaac that we had in 2012, or with Nate that we had this year.
Yeah, last year we had Nate that
right.
come
So
through here.
There's a single deductible. You file a claim, we send the adjuster out. How much is the damage? Less the deductible, and write you a check. So we found that with Nate, on the claims that we had, particularly on the flood claims with Nate that we had paid, processed, and closed every Nate claim we had related to flood within a period of less than 60 days. It was
really
pretty remarkable. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we saw it work in real time.
Yeah, because after Katrina, when there were so many places wanting to rebuild, there was that whole stigma of you don't want to build south of I-10 or you don't, or anything like that, because you can't get certain insurance anymore, and that was a big issue.
Right, it was a big issue. I think it takes somebody small like us to come in with a novel idea and approach and try it, because for the larger companies, there's just not enough business on the Mississippi Gulf Coast for them to be willing to step out and try something new or something innovative. So.
Right. So that's why they might stick with just one thing.
Right.
And as you said, whenever you end up paying deductibles at 3 or 4 different places. That adds up.
It does. It adds up. And the coverages are different. That's the other thing about the flood endorsement. You have for the amount of flood coverage, you have whatever you have for your homeowner's policy. So there's not a difference there with different policies, and it streamlines the process and makes it a lot easier for someone to understand.
Now there are different products that you offer at Coastal American Insurance.
We do. We have our traditional or our standard homeowner's policy. And then we kind of pivot off of everything off of that. You can add flood to it. You don't have to add flood to it. You can have wind on it. You can exclude wind. We write a policy for someone who may have a rental property and just wants to insure just the peril of wind for that. So we can do that as well. And then the new thing coming out now is the new builder's risk endorsement.
Oh, okay. Well, what is that about?
Well, what that is pretty novel as well. For the first time, you can buy one policy where you have coverage for 2 years. So for someone who is going to build a house, particularly south of I-10, you have coverage for 12 months while your house is being built, and then it moves into a homeowner's policy after you move into your home. You don't have to write an additional policy, and all those perils, including flood, can be covered on that. So again, you're talking about writing one policy for a period of 2 years, and you know what you're going to pay for that next 2-year period of time.
Wow. And again, as you said, you can, with the products that you have, you might want to add this. If you live south of I-10, again, you probably want to add more to it than if you live, say, Sosha.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because up there, you're not going to be worried so much about flooding.
No, you're not. But one good differential is if you're in Sosha and there's no water near you, we recognize that based on the distance that you are to any kind of water and the elevation of your property, and conversely, we would give you a lower rate.
If you're right on the big Biloxi, a little Biloxi up towards that way, and we get 10 inches of rain, may have a tendency to flood.
Right, or if you were in, say, Wiggins or D'Iberville and you weren't anywhere near the water, you could be looking at a flood endorsement premium that might be less than $200. Well, at that point, you know, it would be almost kind of foolish to not even consider buying the flood endorsement for that low of a premium.
And that's $200 a year.
A year,
not
yeah,
a month. So,
right.
which is a good thing. And then again, as you said, you can add wind if you want to, or whatever. Again, depending on where you live. But you do have the basic homeowner's insurance that a person can buy.
Right. I think what we did that kind of gave both the agent and the consumer a great degree of autonomy, if you will, was we completely unbundled the product and said, look, here's what we're going to offer. Here are the coverages that are available to you. These are the minimums that we have to have. But beyond that, we don't care what you do. So you can mix and match and add things, not add things, and pick the deductibles and come up with whatever premium works for you.
What about discounts? I mean, I'm sure you get discounts for different things. I've always heard this thing that if your house is near a fire hydrant, you get a discount.
Absolutely. I've always laughed about that one too. We have all the standard discounts in the policy that everybody else offers. I think what it is too is
you have fire detectors or smoke detectors, things like that.
Yes. So if you have a smoke detector, depending upon whether it's hardwired and goes into a central alarm system, and if you have the police tied in, so all of those discounts go up the chain, if you will, to the more that you do to make your house less likely to be subject to claims, the greater discounts we're going to give you.
Right. So, and that claim could be not only, I guess, from fire.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily, I mean, I know we talked more about what happened with storms, things like that. But, I mean, fire,
Yes.
or I guess theft. Would that be something else too, as far as homeowners policy? Right,
and then so in offering all of those things, we look at that on the front end. If you haven't had any theft claims, we're going to offer you a lower premium as a result of that. So,
yeah. And of course, I guess the less claims that you have, or no claims, that's going to on down the line. That's going to really.
It does. One other thing that we have always done, Jim, since our very beginning is that if you have a Coastal American policy and you don't have a claim, every year after you've bought your policy, we've reduced your premiums by 2%.
Wow.
Per year. So at the end of 6 years, you're going to be paying, in the first year you wouldn't get a discount because you would have only had your policy for less than a year. But if you'd had a policy with Coastal American for 6 years, you would be paying 10% less today than you did 6 years ago.
That's
when
awesome.
You bought it.
Thank you so much for coming by and
Jim.
seeing us
No
again.
problem.
If you want some more information, the number's on your screen. You can go to their website and you can find all kinds of information about the different products that they do provide to you with Coastal American Insurance. Set up an appointment with them. Again, the number's on the screen. They'd be glad to come out and talk to you and give yourself a little peace of mind all year long with good homeowners insurance from Coastal American Insurance.